Guys, welcome back to another episode of The Wake Up Call. Today's episode is a very special one. This is episode number 91, and I am bringing on my very first guest. This is a man I've known for over a decade, and we met at the gym where I first started my employment, fresh out of TAFE over 10 years ago, and we've kept in touch ever since. And this is a guy I really respect. You know, he's doing a lot of things really well in terms of his business and his professional career. But one of the things that I really admire from this man is his work ethic and his consistency, his longevity. So without further ado, guys, welcome to the Wake Up Call, Rod Simpson. So Rod's just coming on board now, guys. I've known this guy for over 10 years. And if you've been listening regularly, you know that I have a very small circle. So here is a man that I respect, and we're going to hash out some really cool ideas. Here he is, guys. Rod Simpson. Welcome, buddy.
Jesse, how are you?
Good, man. I was just introing you to the big listenership that I have, and just kind of going back in time to when we first met about it's about 10, 12 years ago down at the Southwest Sports Centre.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a stint down there in Bunbury for a couple of years, operating a hotel for some owners. And used to frequent the gym when Jesse was a young buck.
That's right. Yeah. Baby face, fresh out of TAFE, trying to, find my feet in the world of fitness.
Oh, yeah, but the passion was there then.
That's right.
You know, watching you do your thing with the people down there was fantastic.
Awesome. Good to hear, man. So what I want to do initially is have you kind of introduce yourself to the listeners, you know, who you are, where you live, what you do for a career, and, you know, why you feel like it is that we've had such a great connection over the years. Like we were speaking beforehand that, you know, we don't keep in touch that often, but when we do, it's always great to catch up and share stories and, you know, talk about getting after it, because you're somebody who, you know, you don't talk about it, you're actually doing. Bit of an introduction for yourself, man. Welcome.
Got to do it. As Jesse's told you, Rod Simpson is my name. I'm fortunate enough these days to be based up in the beautiful land of the smiles in Thailand. I've been up here on a decade now, built a family and a life up here. It's quite fantastic. And, my job has taken me all over the globe. I'm heavily involved in the hotel industry. I'm one of the leaders, senior executives for an international hotel chain up here in Thailand, and basically get to travel throughout and enjoy my time. So over that period of time, I've obviously spent a couple of years in Phuket, a couple of years in Pattaya, and then landed in Bangkok. And my family's from the north of Thailand, my wife and kids in Chiang Rai. So I go up and back from Bangkok to Chiang Rai, and we've got the beautiful mountains up here, and then the city life. I'm an inherent traveller with my job. I'm all over the place. I've been fortunate. I bang out about 170 flights a year, all over Southeast Asia. Couple of long trips. I tell you, through COVID, I'm not missing the airports. That's one thing I can assure you.
No, that's right.
Yeah, just watching the people eat that terrible food on the planes. But anyway. I don't do it. I'm an inherent eater before or eat after. I don't do the food on the planes. I can't do it to myself.
It's a bit substandard, isn't it? Not to the usual.
It's trying to keep your principles right. I think for the end goal, which is your training and stuff like that, right? So ultimately, I've been very fortunate to see the whole of Southeast Asia in the last 10 years many times, and I feel blessed to be where I am today. And I guess, moving into the sort of latter years of life or the middle of your life, I call it I'm halfway. I call it halfway. It's been a focus to really get deeply and heavily involved in many forms of training to ensure that I give myself the best opportunity to still be here as long as I can, especially having a little 2-year-old right now. So that's given me some focus that we can touch on later. But Jesse and I, as he's mentioned, we go back about 10 to 12 years. Why Jesse and I are connected, I believe in Jesse. I think he's got an amazing approach to his training. I think that he cares, and I think that's the biggest part of life today. People are numbers. Everybody wants to, make a buck, but to find a trainer, and my current trainer that I've been with for over 3 years, I train with Dylan because he shares similar principles to Jesse. He cares about me. He cares about what's next. He knows what's best for me, even though I want to be here. He's like, Rod, we've got to crawl before we run, mate. So he brings me to reality, or from time to time, will give me some therapy just to wake me up to say, hey, I've told you we weren't ready for this. So,
Bit of a reality check.
Talking, I guess my alignment with you, Jess, is one of respect. And I love seeing a young guy having a crack, and that's what you do. Daily, 100%. Weekly, hourly, monthly, and yearly, you're having a crack. And that's why I love you, mate. I think you're doing great things for people, and I think you're doing great things for yourself. So that's why I've always got time for us to connect and have a laugh and have a yarn. It's good.
I appreciate that, man. It's one of these things, like, I mean, we've known each other for such a long time, and the podcast is almost a year old now. And I kind of feel like you mentioned, it's like I'm beating the same drum, but like you would know, and from training with Dylan for the last 3 years, everybody's looking for a secret. Everybody's looking for a shortcut or a hack to kind of get from point A to point B. They're like, how do I like shorten that space? Like, for the listeners, what can you kind of tell them between, point A, where you are or where you started, to point B? Like, is there a shortcut? Because I know you train hard. You sent me a video last night of doing, 60 kilo sandbag presses.
Sandbag presses, yeah. Man.
Yeah. And it's like everybody wants a shortcut.
No, there is no shortcut. You've got to take the pain. You've got to live with the pain, and you've got to do the work to cure the pain as well. Because, it doesn't matter how old you are or who you are, you're going to have small injuries or small niggles, right? So they can't be setbacks. They've got to be managed. And, you've got to have a trainer that understands those processes or little niggles that you may have to iron those out so that you can continue to turn up every day and do the work.
Yes, that's right. So I've got some show notes that we kind of tossed back and forth because there's a few areas, and it was nice. There's a bit of overlap as well, but I just want to kind of go through the list here. You said that you started, or you gave up drinking and smoking in your 40s. Talk to me about kind of when you started with, the drinking and the smokes, and how long was it for? And then what kind of made you, say enough's enough, like I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah, sure. It's like, I'm very sort of proud of it these days that I've made that adjustment in my life. I wish I did it earlier, but anyway, that's better late than never, the way I look at it, right? To give
hindsight's a great thing.
Yeah, crazy, man. I don't know how you do it, but people do it, right? But anyway, I got to that point, you think you're invincible through your 30s. I was doing training here and there. I've always been a sportsman, and I've done my training. Then over the years, I got lazy and did nothing. And anyway, a culmination. And then I got into my 30s, trained here and there. As you know, I met you training and, did bits and pieces and was pretty focused for a while, then got unfocused for a year, then focused for 6 months and focused for 5 minutes. And anyway, I got, that's
the hamster wheel.
Yeah, man, the hamster wheel. So I got to that point where, I was up here in Asia and I was traveling a lot, I was working a lot, and I wasn't really taking care of myself, and I was drinking pretty heavily on nights. You're out doing whatever, and next thing it's midnight again, and you're at another dinner function, and you're sort of losing the control of reality, I guess is the right way to look at it. And, and I don't know, I woke up one day and I had a few things going on, and I thought to myself, you know what, I need to get off the booze. It's just something that I need to do for me, and I need to do it from a permanent perspective, not go back. So I'm very proud to say I'm well over 7 years off the grog. I haven't had one drop. And I had a few wake up calls. So your gig's called the wake up call, and had a couple of wake up calls that made me say, Rodney, it's time to have a look at what you're doing, mate, and let's get serious about this. So he got off the grog, and it's amazing the evolution of life when you make a decision like that and you stick to it. And mate, I'm clean. I've not had one drop for over 7 years. My wife still has a beer. She loves to have a beer, and I'll bring her back vodka free, and I'll still make her some some Kaproshkas or whatever she wants in the evening. But
the bartender,
I'm the driver these days. But look, in all honesty, I had the wake up call, and I got made it relevant to make some changes. So I got off it, and I started to train again properly. And I did that. We talked about the hamster wheel, and I did that for about a year. And then I started to use the excuses, I'm working too much, I'm traveling too much, I'll do it in the hotel gym, and I'd never get there, right? And so
there's always tomorrow.
And I was proud that I'd got off it, but I just couldn't keep the consistency. So I got to the point where I said to myself, I was 46, Jess, 46. And I said, right, 47. And my wife got pregnant with the little bloke, and that was a plan. We wanted to have the little bloke. And it's like, she had a daughter when I met her, and she's 12, and now she's 12. And she said, I want to have a bub with us. I said, all right. So we had the little bloke, and I said to myself, gee, I'm having a 2-year-old. By the time he's born and he starts cracking in life, I'm going to be in my 70s. I need to give myself an opportunity to be around here. So I went cold turkey off the darts. I got off them. I threw them in the bin. And 5th of January 2017, 5th of January 2018, I walked into New Moves Bangkok. I'd been looking at the studio and had a look in there, but never had the balls to go and do something about it because I looked pretty serious. So I eventually, totally, man.
Give it that one through the door, through the window, have a look, scope it out.
2 years. And I kept going to the gym. I was going to the gym, but I'd turn up twice a week, turn up once a week. Next week, have a good week and turn up 5 days, right? So I thought, let's go and get accountable here. I rocked in, gave the fags, rocked in to see New Moves in Bangkok, and studio owned by a founder is the Australian out of the Gold Coast, Robbie Cook, great, fantastic human. And then his partner is Dylan Castle out of Montana in the US. And anyway, went in there. Dylan says, I said, listen, I want to come in. I've just quit smokes today. I need to do something to stay motivated and inspired to keep off the smokes. I want to train. And he's like, what do you want to do? I said, well, you're the guy. You look at me and tell me what I need. And I remember the cruel reality. He says to me, oh, listen, just do a trial first and you can pay later. I said, no, let's pay up, mate. I need to be focused on this. So it's like, really? I said,
get in the game.
Pay up. So,
yeah.
And as you know, it's not a cheap exercise to go and, work with these guys. But when you look at your health as a cost, well, you've got separate issues in itself, I think, right? So I paid up, and I remember our first session, mate. I thought I was pretty strong. And he got me doing these drills on the floor with these rubber cones and tapping this, trying to do chin-ups. And, I was just dreaming, mate.
Got put through the ringer.
I had a serious wake-up call then, Jess, of what I needed as a human being.
Yeah.
And from there, I've been still training with these guys nearly on 4 years now.
That's awesome. And that's, I just want to jump in there because that's really interesting. Like I've had this a number of times where people, they're looking to do something, like they've got this gut instinct or this feeling. And it's like, fuck, I want to do something. I feel like I should be fitter, stronger, or, more mobile than what I am. But people kind of like, they tend to bury it. And what I find, it's my experience that a lot of people, they need that wake up call. They need to almost be thrown in the deep end to be like, hey, you currently think you're here. And then like you did, you had that trial, or you're like, nah, I'm in. And Dylan put you through your paces and you're like, oh shit, I kind of need to get my stuff. I need to get in order. I need to get everything kind of squared away here.
Yeah. And especially, absolutely right, Jesse. It was a huge wake up call for me. The strength that I have today, I could only do 2 chin-ups then. Now I can do, first set, maybe 17, right? Good quality chin-ups, right?
Yeah, wow.
So the strength that I have today is paramount because of those individuals and the work that I've done.
Yes. And I think that's the thing, like we've spoken back and forth on WhatsApp is, with the COVID situation, that's, it's not just here in Perth, it's not just there in Thailand, it's worldwide, like it affects everybody. Yeah. But what was really cool is I remember you sent me a photo of all the gear that you ended up buying for home. So that you started to take some of that control. You're like, okay, COVID means that I can't do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But you kind of shifted, you pivoted, and you're like, this is what I can do. This is what I can control. And it's like seeing that, 60 kilo presses with the bag yesterday with, it's just awesome. It means that you're now in control of all results.
Yeah, that's my latest thing. I've been doing the 45 kilo with Dylan for probably 3 months or so since we'll talk some more. But we got we got onto the 45 kilo, and I said to him, I think I'll buy a 45 kilo bag because we're in a state of lockdown at the moment up here. I've been work from home for 3 weeks. So
Okay.
He said, "No, buy the 60, do the 60, mate. Let's go to the next level." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So we did, mate, and I'm owning it. You see, I love it, and it was the right move to buy the 60. But obviously, again, it comes back to, the discipline that he's taught me and the fact that I want it. And yeah, mate, I went out when we got locked down in April 2020. The gyms are shut, everything's shut. We're told we're going to be at home for 3 months. I'm like, oh man, I've done all this work. I don't want to lose it.
Yes.
So I spoke to the boys and I said, what do I need? And then the guy that built their gym from Bench Fitness, another Aussie actually over here, he's got a fitness company, John Sheafy from Bench Fitness, he's a Melbourne boy. And he said, look, I've got some secondhand gear here, Rod, what do you want? And I said, well, Olympic bar, maybe 170 kilo in plates, couple of dumbbells, some medicine balls, what do you got? And he hooked me up. I got heaps of gear now and I just keep adding to it now. I've got enough here to train forever, really.
Yeah, that's spot on. I had, I've got some of my students. I've changed my training philosophy since back at the gym where we first met to kind of now, and it's very much trying to tailor it for what people need. Like my facility, like I showed you a video the other week. It's like the space I have, it's not huge, but it's got everything that you'd possibly need in there. And it's interesting. One of my ladies now, one of my students, she's gone and bought a squat rack, some dumbbells, a sandbag, and she's got she's got a place at home now. And, I do all of her programming. So she comes in and I train her, once a week, and then she's got a program and it's like, she's got everything she fucking needs at her disposal. It doesn't matter if there's a lockdown, doesn't matter if there's a shutdown, gyms are closed, whatever. It's like, she can walk into her setup and be like, no factor, no issue. I can carry on doing what I'm doing.
Well, there's no excuses now, is there?
That's right.
You're not giving yourself an excuse. Now, it's amazing what you can do with elastics when you know how.
Yes.
Right? You can get a good pump on a set of elastics when you know how, right? So, that gives me great pleasure to hear that, Jesse, because that's what it's about. And I said to myself, well, I want to continue to evolve, like yesterday I trained outside in the backyard. It was 38 degrees. I had my boardies on, no shoes. I'm on the grass and I'm lunging up and down the backyard with the Olympic bar.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? I'm doing up and back 4 sets up and back. I get about 48 reps in 4 sets.
Yep.
And I did that 4 times. That was just one exercise I did yesterday afternoon and just increased the weight. But you don't have to go. It's just about your form, right? So
that's right. And it's interesting because some people would hear that, like the training I do with my clients or with my students, it's a lot of it is unconventional.
Yep.
So it's like people would hear that and be like, what do you mean were you barefoot or you had your shoes on?
Barefoot.
So it's like people are like, where are your shoes? Like, you don't need shoes to lunge.
Don't have any.
Do you know what I mean? It's you're just finding a way to get it done.
And I love what the boys have taught me, changing the way you train. That's their tagline and their ethos is changing the way you train. And that's what I've developed. I actually prefer not to train with shoes on these days unless it's doing certain drills, right? But I rarely train with shoes, actually.
What's the difference? What's the difference you feel going like training, let's say in a conventional studio with shoes, covered versus barefoot? What are the differences you feel?
I think you can feel, like for me, I can feel the body better. I can feel I feel like I'm connected to the floor.
Yeah.
I feel the connection. You know what I mean? Like shoes on, you've got another piece of sponge there or whatever, and it I just feel a real connection with my body to the floor and my ability to get my feet and everything. I just feel it, and that's what I love about it. I can feel
so much more body awareness.
Yeah, man. It's the balance, everything. You can really work your balance really well. And it's training in the studio is great, and we don't wear shoes. You're not allowed to wear shoes past a certain point unless they're actually for
the exercise.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
And if you've been on the street, you're not allowed to wear them inside, actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And
That's
your
nice.
place looks, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm sitting here. I'm wearing a pair of Vibram Five Fingers, like the toe shoes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I see a lot of people wear those in the studio. They're great.
Yeah, it's I cop a lot of flack for them, but it's the same thing you just said. Like one of the things that I try to really promote is people spending time barefoot is because most people, unfortunately, they wear shoes that are too small for their foot. So it changes the way that you stand. Like your feet, they end up doing this. Like you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
So there's no splaying of the toes, and you've got so many sensors and nerves in the feet. So it makes sense that you feel better and you perform better being barefoot, and especially being outdoors as well. So that's cool to hear.
I love it. I love that. I've got the undercover area I can use as well. But I do certain drills where I get out in the grass and it's funny. I was watching my 2-year-old yesterday. I'll show you a picture. You'll laugh. He, it's amazing the leading by example, right? And you're seeing like he's got my push-up bars and he's got his leg up and he's 2. I'll send you some pics later, but it's just quite cool to see that, mindset. And even my daughter, she's 12 and she does ballet. We've got her into an Australian curriculum ballet over here, and she's been
That's
at
awesome.
it for 3 years. Yeah, gymnastics and ballet, and even she's been asking me, "Oh, Daddy, can I come and do this?" So that makes me happy that is filtering into their life now as well.
It's very much. It's not even about saying what you do. It's just about them watching, and then them being like, "Oh, this is just what Dad does." Or they just become curious. It's like, oh, what, Dad, why are you using the bars? Why do you always go out and do push-ups? Or, why do you roll around with a ball and press it into the air? And it's a cool learning curve.
They're videoing it for me these days. Yeah, they love it, Jess. And you're right, it is a learning curve. And what I like is she's asking to do it. Daddy, can I train with you today? She knows I'll go out at 3 or 4 o'clock, and while I'm at home, and Daddy, can I train? Sure, darling, let's do it. So I just give her little drills to do while I'm resting in between a set or whatever. Yeah, it's good.
One work, one rest. I like it. There's your rest period sorted.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's what I do. And I teach her and I show her. And, obviously I've got some 1 kilo dumbbells and 2 that my wife uses as well. So, and even myself, I can do a lot with a 2 kilo dumbbell,
Yeah. So. I've had it's interesting. Like we talk about, 1 kilo, 2 kilo, people kind of scoff at that. It's like, what can you do with, light weights? It's actually quite interesting. If you pick the right exercises or use the right technique or do a certain volume, like high rep work, that's actually more than enough for a lot of times. Like I remember I had one of my guys who was doing a torch press. So a torch press is basically like you've got a dumbbell in your hand and you press it up there. So it's a little bit of scapular and serratus work that we're doing. And it got to a point where it's just too heavy for him.
Sure.
So this is like 1 kilo.
And that's the reality.
Yeah, it's good to have those, little extras, the 1 kilos, 2 kilos for the lighter stuff or high rep work. But it all comes in handy. And like you said, like you've got everything to train for a lifetime now.
I have, mate. And that's, you can do so many things. I can't even do everything that I have there, right? I don't have enough, education, right, to be able to achieve that, right? And that's why, just touching back on what you're talking about, 1 kilo, the guys I'm training with, they're all about functional movement.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of it's body weight stuff.
100%. Yeah.
And some of the stuff just destroys you. You can't even do it. And it's your own body weight. And you think you're strong, right? It's like, yeah, okay. That was an eye opener. But that's the stuff you want to continue to get better at. Then you can put your vest on and do it.
That's right.
You can start, you know what I mean? So that's what excites me these days of the learning,
That's awesome, man. Just to shift gears a little bit, I just want to talk a bit more broadly, not just about training, but just about life in general. What kind of carryover have you found from, that shift of about 7 years ago, giving up the booze, a couple of years ago, giving up the smokes, taking your training, more seriously? How have you found that transfer to, your personal and your professional life?
Well, I'm still married.
Yes.
exactly. Result. Because I've been down that road before, and the job and the lifestyle probably destroyed that first one. To be honest, and ultimately with no sort of, it is what it is, right? So ultimately you learn from those kind of mistakes as well, spend some time by yourself. And then, I think in all honesty, when it comes to relationship wise, I think I'm a much easier person and a better person without the booze, to be honest. And I think, that continuity and balance I have when it comes to my daily routine of training, also gives me that energy lift and that euphoria of peace when I finish my training, because 1, great, I did it. 2, I've done another session. 3, I've put another brick in the wall. 4, I'm exhausted. 5, let's go. You know what I mean? So that balance that I feel through all that good nutrition, balance on the water, making sure you're getting your water, everything that it brings me into my focus and day-to-day life from a personal perspective has just changed the way that I live. And, looking at it from a working perspective, the focus and the diligence. And, it's interesting when you walk into board meetings and boardrooms and people sort of, they look at you and go, oh, you're fit.
Oh, yeah. They're like, hold on a minute. Yep.
Totally. Yeah. Where did you come from? How old are you? You're not supposed to look like that, And it's like, or they start telling you, I used to run 10K a day, or I used to do this. Oh, okay. I don't know why they need to tell me, but they need to for some reason, Jesse. I still don't know.
It's ego, man. And this is one of the things and this is what I really wanted to dive in with you. A lot of people, they live in their past. They're like, when I was in high school, I was the this or that. I was the best on the track team. I was the captain of the footy team. I was this, that, and the other. It's like, that's all well and good. Like, congratulations. Well done. I'm proud of you for doing that. Yeah. What have you done lately? Like, what did you do last week? What did you do yesterday?
Yeah.
And that's it. Funnily enough, I have a conversation with a friend of mine. It's very much an ego thing, that you looking a certain way and being really confident and comfortable in your skin. And it's not just, it's not a facade. It's not false ego. It's actual pride, because you've done the reps, you've put in the work, you've drank the water, you got your sleep, you were consistent. And I think it puts a lot of people off. They see that and they see what condition you're in, because you told me you're in the best shape of your life at 50, man. And it's like 100%. People look at that and they're like, that's not normal. How are you doing that?
Fittest, strongest, motivated, most determined I've ever been at 50.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. There's no, and it's all just driven by the results, mate, because I do the work and I see it. And, I'm not massive. I did get up to 99, I think, at one point, and we were lifting 280 kilo on the deadlift at one rep, and we're doing all that crazy stuff, but directional change that we'll get into. But, basically, that boardroom is it's amazing. And, I sort of feel for them as well, Jesse. I've got to that point where it's like, why are you about me? I'm just a dude that does the work, you know what I mean? And I'm proud of that, but I don't think anything of them, and I don't think anything about it. I just, I feel sorry for them, because it's like you said, I used to do that. I was a state champion wrestler. I was a, right. And it's just like, well, hey, dude, you can go do the work.
Yeah.
What's stopping you? And this is the bit I love when they tell me, it's like, well, I'm like, what's stopping you? And they're like, I'm so busy. I'm like, I get that. But I do, in normal times, I'm 150, 170 flights a year. I've got a family. I've got responsibilities. And I said, man, if I'm in the gym at 10 p.m., I'm in the gym at 10 p.m. If I'm in the gym at 4 a.m., I'm in the gym at 4 a.m.
So what's the difference then? Because this is something, like I said, I beat the drum. What's the difference between someone like you who has that drive and that deeper purpose to do it versus these other people who are in similar situations to you? Because we're all fucking busy. So you've got the people on the one side who are like, I don't have the time. I've just got so much on my plate. I can't do it. Versus people like you who are like, I'll find a way to make it fucking happen. Like, where do you, what is the gap? What's the difference?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I think it just comes down to the fact that you're motivated in yourself to not make excuses and just get it done. And my goal is to live till, I say to everyone, I'm halfway, now whatever happens, you don't know what happens tomorrow, but I believe I'm giving myself that opportunity to be here until I'm 100 years old. And that's my target mentally.
Yes.
I'll do my best deal at 90. That's what I say to myself, right? That's
Yeah.
what I tell myself, right? So
That's awesome.
that focus and determination, and you know, a lot of that's come from having the little bloke at this age too, right? So
Yeah.
you know, I want to be there and watch him go to school, but yeah, I just want it. I want to be strong.
Why?
I want to, several reasons. First and foremost, it makes my day-to-day life a lot easier, right? When I get up and I feel good. I look in the mirror, I know I look good, right? Yeah. That continues to motivate me through the hard work. As I said, I've got a young family and I want to ensure that I'm around for them to support them through their needs as they evolve. You know, I'm still actively involved. Well, I've got reactively involved in sport, you know, at a pretty high level. So, you know, I need to be fit to do that. But that all came as part of a process that sort of became, oh, well, let's do that as well.
An evolution.
Yeah, it was basically that I'm in the right spot. So we went back to do that. And there's a bit of a story there that we can touch on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just the ability to, you know, just that getting up every day and feeling good, Jesse, you know, it's just it motivates me, you know, I love it. You know, you might still continue to age, but you're just like, you're pumped, you know, and you just feel good. You know, it's.
I have a question for you. Yeah, it is hard to explain, and this is something I want to kind of dive into because it's a conversation I find myself having regularly. You know, you've been training for a long time. Does the work ever get easier?
Never. And if it does get easy, you're doing the wrong work.
Thank you. and this is the thing, you guys, for everybody listening, I want you to actually pay attention to this. This is a guy who's more motivated, stronger than ever, like mentally super sharp. He's getting after it. He's enjoying the process, and it's not getting easier. But that's actually half the joy. Like that's seeing the result, like you said, and it's not just out of chance or circumstance. It's I'm doing the reps. I'm showing up every day. I'm ticking my boxes. So therefore, I have a reason to keep going. I have another reason to keep pushing, to get that extra rep, to put that extra kilo on the bar.
Correct. I'm hunting that 80-kilo sandbag now. That's what I'm hunting.
There you go. Yeah.
And I haven't got the 60 owned yet, but
yeah. You've got to have a target. You've got to have something to push to.
The goal with the 60 by the end of next week, actually, the goal with the 60, I want to be able to lift it to my shoulder, hold it on one arm, right? And I want to squat 12 reps, mate, then swap to the other side. That's what I'm after by hopefully next Friday. Let's see. I'll send you a vid.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my motivation for that, right? And then, you know, to be able to, that's my key focus right now is actually owning that bag. So I still do all the other stuff, and I only throw the bag around maybe twice a week, right? Because you can injure yourself quite easy on those, and I'm sure you
odd objects, right? Awkward.
Yeah, because they move, right? So, but ultimately, that's my current mission, Jesse, is to own the 80-kilo bag now. So, does it get easier?
No, you just get better.
That's right.
Yeah, and what was interesting as well, just as I heard you talking there, is the language you use is very important. I want to own the 60-kilo bag.
80. Yeah.
So this is something people I find do a lot. They put the cart before the horse. Maybe they've got this, long-term goal of, bench pressing their body weight or squatting 2 times body weight. And they're currently here, but they're not owning the weight that they're on. They're looking so far ahead that they're kind of ignoring where they're at right now. And I think that's an important concept as well is, yes, you have these big goals. I love it when people have big goals and ambitions. But what you're doing right now is the important thing is you're taking a viewpoint of I'm currently here. Right now, my mission, my target is to own the 60. I can't get to the 80 until I dominate the 60.
Correct. Yeah, I won't even. And that's why when I spoke because I only had it for 2 weeks. And I said when I was going to order the 45, because I was going to order the 45. And Dylan said, no, get the 60, mate. You own the 45 already. I said, I said, you think? He goes, yeah, you've got it down pat. You're doing it easy. Just get the 60. And then I said, So once I got it, I said, yeah, he was right. That was the right move. But okay, now I need to get a hold of this baby, right?
Yeah.
So to give her some therapy, because she's therapying me right now. Yeah.
The sandbags are brutal like that. They'll give you all the feedback you need, and you can't switch off
Oh.
for a split second. Yeah.
No, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. That's
You're
awesome.
gonna hurt yourself. Yeah, man.
I want to go down that segue. You touched on it a little bit before about your sport of,
Oh, yeah.
the drive to compete and the process of getting back on the bike. So I want you to kind of explain, what sport you're talking about here and
Sure.
where you were previously and where you're currently at now, because I'll let you explain, you had a race coming up, which unfortunately got pushed back, but let's have a bit of a chat about the sport.
Sure. Well, I thought it was a great idea at 49 years old to get myself in the position I needed to be to enter the Thailand Superbike Series in 2021,
Yes.
which I did. Like you said, first round's been postponed due to COVID, but I guess to go back and give you the history on that, I was a racer as a kid. I was a 12-time state champion in motocross and a couple-time Australian champion as a kid back in the teenage years. And then, I guess when I needed to go to the next level with that sort of 18 years old mark, sex, drugs and rock and roll became a little bit more interesting after an accident that I had. And it demotivated me, the accident, and I stopped racing altogether when I was about 19. And then I bought a road bike, and I managed to probably do 1 million kilometers around Australia in my 20s on a road bike. I just went everywhere, man, and everywhere all the time on the bike. That's all I did. I was single and I just loved my life. And at about 28, I decided to get I took a bike to the track, a super bike to the track, a 1000cc, and I was living in the Gold Coast at the time, and I was heading up to Morgan Park or Queensland Raceway and doing laps. And I remember my first time out there, I was doing 1 minute 36s, I think, which is a V8 supercar does 1 minute 9s around there, man. So we're chugging. And so I got myself down I did the same. I got myself over a 2-year period into a pace where I was ready to go racing. So I started racing superbikes again in Queensland and did that for a couple of years in my sort of early 30s to mid 30s there when I was running hotels on the Gold Coast. And then again, I sort of gave it up, had some divorce action happening, and money was a bit difficult. So had to give it up and had a rest. And then, it's been 13 years actually, Jesse, since I got back on a racetrack. So here I am at Thailand. We've got the Buriram MotoGP circuit here, Chung International. It's an FIM, so a Federation of International Motorsport approved racing venue. It's on par with Phillip Island or any track in the world.
Yep.
In a sense, it's it's an accredited MotoGP circuit, right? They race there. So
that's awesome.
We I guess a bit of it goes back to the little bloke as well, Jesse. Again, I had a near miss on the road. I've been riding on the highways in Thailand for many years since I've lived here. And, I'm always on the roads doing something. And, I don't know if Thailand's one of the top 3 most notorious countries in the world to ride on the roads.
Pretty full on. Yeah.
91 people a day dying here on the roads, mate.
Oh, my God. I remember my wife and I, we went to Thailand a few years ago and we were on the back of the tuk-tuks and it's just mayhem. There's people everywhere. There's tuk-tuks, there's bikes, there's cars, there's cyclists. It's another world. It's crazy.
Oh. Sure, it's ridiculous. And to be riding these powerful bikes around on the highways and stuff, like I was on the road. I've got a few favourite runs and stuff, whether you're off the island of Phuket or you're up here in the north. I know my roads and I know where I like to ride. And anyway, I had a very, very close near miss one morning. I was out after we'd had the little bloke and, I said to myself, is it worth it? And I said, I came home and I didn't ride the bike for a bit. And the missus said to me, she said, you haven't ridden the bike for a bit. I said, no, I don't know. I had a near miss. I didn't really tell her. I said, I had a near miss. And
kept it a bit hush-hush. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do. I'm still processing it mentally. I'm not sure what to do. Do I keep
get back on the bike?
Yeah, or do I go to the track again and have a crack? So lo and behold, over the year, I had the bike. I've got a full spec bike. It's a new model with low kilometers. So I thought, let's take it to the track and see how I go. So I booked a track day, went down there for 2 days and did laps, and when I looked at the photos afterwards, I'm like, oh Jesus, mate, you're looking like a driving Miss Daisy out there. Look slow, but what it showed me as well, Jesse, was from a physical perspective, yes, I was strong and fit. My hips were not in good condition and a few other things, right? So they were in better condition than what they were, 3 years ago, but they still weren't where I needed to be back in a physical peak condition. So, it sort of opened my eyes. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. I think I can get my speed back. I've still got the mentality to go fast. So let's work on the bike. I knew what the bike needed. I knew what my brain needed, and I knew what my physical needed. So I went back to Dylan and I said, hey, buddy, I'm going to go racing. I've decided, well, I need your help to unlock my hips a bit more. I need your help to do this. So we've worked very, very heavily between under my arms to my top of my knees, that whole region, front, back, inside and outside. The strength that I have through my glutes and my hips and my lower lats and all those muscles, those little muscles, Jesse, I've never had. I walk differently. Even my shoes show me I walk differently with the wear on my shoes.
That's awesome.
From the work we've done there. Yeah. So anyway, went back, did some work and got quicker, did some work on the bike, did some more work in the gym, got quicker lap times. I said, oh, maybe I can do this. I said to myself, I'll get myself down into the 1 minute 45s. I'll be competitive in the Superbike 3 category. And sure enough, fourth visit, I got myself into the 45. So I said, let's go racing.
Let's do it.
So, came back to work with Dylan and mate, he's been working me like, and what I love about this guy, these guys train fences. These guys are training fences for Olympic tournaments. These guys are training kids that want to play cricket. They're training kids that do go-kart racing. They're just training an array. They're training bodybuilders, jiu-jitsu fighters, and here I come back saying, right, I'm going racing again, boys. I need help to get, this is what I've noticed in deficiency in my body. And when you tuck, because you tucked a lot and your legs are cracked,
everything's tucked in like a ball. Yeah,
that's right.
But the knees are the knees are out.
And you got to get the flexibility to get off the bike. And so he, to his credit, went and did all the research and he came back and, mate, he's been honestly training me more like a jiu-jitsu fighter in a sense of the work that we're doing through the midsections and whatnot than anything else, because the wrestlers need that core strength, right? So
well, you're wrestling the bike basically.
That's right. Exactly. And his words, I said, because I feel like I'm still a passenger on it. I'm not manhandling it yet, right? So but last time out, mate, I'm really happy to say I didn't ride it for a couple of months because I kept doing the work in the gym. But when I got on it last time, my times are actually 2 seconds quicker again.
Wow.
So we're hunting trophies, and we're now hunting trophies, and basically I owned that thing. And you can see it in the photos, compared to when I first went and my times, the photography I've bought from these guys. You can honestly see I actually look like a rider again. So, but in saying that, the biggest thing that we've been working on as well, Jesse, is mental and mental fatigue and physical fatigue. Yeah. So, yeah.
And this is interesting. I want to go down this rabbit hole with you because, like, the only experience I've had on a bike is a Peewee 50 when I was a young lad, and I drove it straight into the tree. I drove it straight into the tree. It was a Christmas. My brother and I, we got a Peewee 50 between us, and I drove it straight into a tree. So my experience isn't that good, but I know from being behind the wheel of a car, you can't switch off. Like, people think that if you're heading down the freeway, it's like people think, oh, it's a straight shot. It's not. Like, there's a lot of small deviations. There's thousands of micro decisions that get made from, going from point A to point B, or in your case, going around a circuit. You've got a predetermined course. Like, you're trying to shave off, half a second, a millisecond. You're trying to, it's very small margins. And what I think would be really nice to talk about is, the attention to detail and concentrations that's required for a sport like yours.
It's paramount. You're doing 286 kilometers an hour down the back straight every lap, right? And before you grab your brakes. Now, if you miss your brakes, like you said, if you got fatigue and whatever it might be, and you make that wrong judgment call, well, and you're on somebody's tail, and you're going to hurt not just yourself but somebody else, right? So, you've got to, your focus has to be critical. And that we've been working seriously hard on fatigue. So towards the end of my sessions, and his words are, when we're in a dogfight, I want you to know that you're making the right decisions.
Yeah.
So we're working very hard on those we're doing a lot of work on the lights. So he puts the 6 lights. So we're doing the reaction times.
Mm-hmm.
We do it at the start of the session when I'm cold, and then we're doing it at the end of the session when I'm fatigued. And the beauty is, when I'm actually rat shit and can't even get a breath, my reaction times are quicker.
Yes.
So, which is great to see. So we're doing the right work. And that's where it's allowing, to support those decision-making processes when you are on the circuit, because when you're entering corners, turn 4 out there's, it's about 240 on entry, down 2 gears, and just tip it in with a little bit of feather on the front brake. When you got your knee on the deck and this much contact of the tyre, you're about 185k an hour, and you're starting to wind the throttle, and there's a guy coming, you're going underneath the guy to do it.
That's unreal.
So,
The margin for error is very small. Yeah. It's
very
tiny.
small. So it is. So, the physical work is also, we're doing the mental work with the physical work, from a fatigue perspective, and sharpening it up, and some of the sups that we've also been taking from a focus perspective as well.
Is that for just cognitive ability, the sups you're talking about?
It's a mushroom extract, actually. Yes, that's been formulated. I like it. It's actually it really helps with the daily focus. I feel at first a little bit. I found it a little bit. I don't know. It made me a little bit erratic at first. Once your body got used to it, it was maybe a little bit fast. Wise, it was a little bit erratic. But now that its body's absorbed it and it's got used to it, I just feel I've got a really good focus every day. It's
sharp.
Just one tab a day, and I really feel it. And when I'm training, I feel it helps me even more with my focus. And I know people look at some of this stuff and think, oh yeah, it's cliche or whatever, but I actually think this is a good product. And
that's good. I try not to take too many products. I take a few things like fish oil, glucosamine, chondroitin. But I remember I took one from Bulk Nutrients called Cognitone, and it's to enhance cognitive ability. And I remember I had it and just stirred it with water. And I'll tell you what, though, I was dialed in, man. Oh, tell you what, I was like, let's go. I was like down the rabbit hole. It's like I had bloody blinders on. And I was just like, let's fucking go. So I know what you mean. It's, sometimes you hear something like that, you're like, it sounds a bit cliche, but I think for something like that, it's very individual. People got to try what works for them. Are you a big coffee drinker?
No, it's funny. I was in my earlier days, and I guess when I was a drinker and stuff, it was more a motivation to be alert, right? So I'm usually a coffee when I first get up. I'll make a coffee while I'm preparing my breakfast. I'm a creature of habit when it comes to breakfast. I eat the same thing for the last 10 years, basically.
What do you have?
7. I have a little bit of granola, not too much, just a little bit, maybe half a handful. Oats, dried oats. I throw in a scoop of powder with that generally.
Protein?
I throw in a protein powder, yes. Sugar-free protein powder. I throw in a dash of honey, and also some frozen raspberries and a banana.
Beautiful.
And that's pretty much just with water, and that's pretty much breakfast. So I let that sit while it's sitting, dialing in. Make a coffee, and I'll have a coffee, eat my breakfast after that, and then usually mid-morning when I get to work, maybe around 10:30, I'll have another coffee, and that's it. I don't touch coffee again.
How long have you been having the breakfast for?
Oh, 8 years.
Why do you have that breakfast?
Makes me feel good. I get a good energy out of it. I think there's a good mixture. I find that there's a good carb balance in there. and it gives me, you know, there's obviously the protein in there, and it just
Yep.
gives me a good balance to start the day. It gives me that energy boost. It gives me a bit of fiber. It gives me everything that I need. And yeah, I just really feel that boost after I eat it. I feel good when I leave the house in the morning, you know?
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of touch on that because this is something I find a lot of people, whether it be a societal push or just what people have done for a while, I find people just eat what other people tend to eat. Like for me, my breakfast tastes like bad shit. Like I have. It looks terrible. It looks like someone's got a bunch of cardboard, soaked it and mashed it up.
Sure.
So I have Wheat Bix and I have a scoop of protein powder. But it's the same. I do the thing. I've done it for about 7-8 years, similar to yourself. It's the same thing every day because I know what it provides the body. Where I find a lot of people, especially when it comes to, it's not just breakfast, but it's what gets you going. If you start things off on your terms that are in line with your goals, like that's the first domino you knock over, and then everything else kind of follows from that. So it's kind of cool to hear you actually have a rationale for doing it. It's got your protein, it's got your carbs, it's got your fats, and you feel good by doing it.
Yeah. Look, I feel that I know that I've done the right thing by myself every morning, and I've got that energy to walk out the door and feel good. That's why I do it. Yeah. And I even travel with it. If I go up to the track to go racing and I'm up there for 2 days, I take it with me. I'm like that. I take that. What works for me, I make sure I have around me. I'm not going to leave it for chance.
Yes, that's awesome. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who is taking all of the responsibility and ownership of his goals wherever he goes. So, he might not be at home. He's actually saying if he's not in his local environment, he's going to take his shit with him. And
100%.
This is something that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not at home, so I can't do it. It's like, of course you can. Be prepared. Yeah, 100%.
I take an esky, mate. I take an esky if I have to. I've got two little. I've got a bigger one and a little one. Depends where and what I'm doing and how long I'm going. And it's easy to buy ice, right?
Why do you do that? Why do you take the esky instead of just buying stuff wherever you go?
Well, I don't know if I can get it, right? First and foremost, I don't know if I can get what I want. And then secondly, it's going to frustrate me if I can't get what I want, because if I wake up in the morning and can't eat exactly, I'm not going to leave it to chance if I have to stay in a hotel and I go down there for breakfast. Again, I own them at breakfast in the hotel if I can't get what I want. So I just bring them home, So, and I don't care what they tell me. I can't have that here. So, well, yes, I will.
Love it.
I don't care what. Yeah, well, and I do that so I feel peace. Because I just don't leave it to chance. You can find it, especially here. It's probably at home it'd be a bit easier in Oz, right? But over here, I'm not leaving to 7-Elevens, mate.
Yeah. So it's cool. You're stacking the cards in your favor. You're not seeing what cards you're being dealt. You've got the fucking deck and you're saying, I want this card, and this card, so you can play your best hand. Yeah.
Correct, mate. And even when we're at the track, the tracks, we usually stay at a hotel there, and basically we even order the lunch. We'll order the boiled rice, we'll order the broccolis and the green veg and the chickens, chicken breast, right? Yep. And we go pick it up before lunch. I always got a buddy with me that supports me at the track, and basically he goes and takes care of it. He'll go and pick up the lunch. So we order that before we leave the hotel, so we take it down the track. So we know that we're getting our nutrition. We've still got our nuts and stuff to snack on during the day, right? But to ensure that we're getting our nutrition to survive the day, like you said, when you're out on that track and you're pumping in 12 laps in 35-degree heat inside of a clobber as well, you're dehydrating a lot. You've got to really be focused on what you're putting in to keep your energy to do 4 or 5 sessions in the day to try and do 40 laps,
Yep, 100%. Cool, man. Just dovetailing off this a little bit. So this is not training related, but I want to kind of extract your thoughts on just philosophy, because what you're explaining to me here, the way you live, it's probably a bit different to what most people would do. You take an esky if you're going to the track. You train, you buy your own fitness equipment.
It's not for beer.
Exactly. That's what I mean. There's some people look at that, like the guy's got an esky, like, fuck yeah, Bintang or whatever. Like, no, it's got fucking food in it.
Correct.
So I want to kind of just unpack some of your philosophy for life, because you do things a certain way. You know, you've got some motivation and reasoning behind what you do. Let's kind of unpack that and what that looks like. So what's your philosophy in terms of how you live and why you live the way you do?
Look, I you know, first and foremost, I've not always lived this way. You know what I mean? So it's been a choice as I've developed, you know, my age, and I guess the choices that I've made in the last probably several years.
Yep.
So it's become a lifestyle now, you know, and it's a lifestyle that I really enjoy, because ultimately I'm giving myself the best opportunity to be the best version of me I can.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't always done that and done it well, right? So ultimately that's my main driver, is becoming better every day, whether it be physically, mentally, family, husband, wife, husband, father, you know, businessman, whatever it is, it allows me to become the best version of myself. So, you know, when I look at people around me, who motivates me, who do I look at and go, man, you know, let's go back and look at, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I respect what that man did. You know, now I will do this, I will do that, I will be this. And he became the governor of California, for fuck's sake, from Terminator to that. But his mission was about what he did for training. And if you go back and look at his, you know, basically
Olympia.
that he lived off, you know, and to me it's so relevant, you know, and it takes a long time to learn that. Someone like yourself, Jesse, you've picked it up very young, you know, and you have those disciplines and abilities to see what you wanted from a very early age, you know what I mean? So you've driven it where others get lost, like myself, and it's taken me until now, to be honest, in my 40s into my 50s, where I've actually been able to find that harmony. You know, and that's come through, you know, a lot of reading. I know you read, we share books, you know, exactly
books for days.
And I've just ordered the one you told me to have a look at as well. I just ordered it the other day. So
which one was that?
Oh, mate,
was that Relentless?
Yes, that's it. Relentless, mate.
He's got a second book coming out as well on May 18th, Winning.
Okay, because that's how I feel right now, relentless. When you said it to me, it was almost because I feel like I'm relentless on myself.
Yep.
You know? Just to be that better version. So, yeah, I read a lot. I've learnt to read. I did when I was a young kid, and when I traveled, I used to read, and then I lost reading for 30 years of my life. It disappeared. But in the last sort of 5 years, I've started to try and read a couple of books a year again, and I've been successful in that. So I enjoy those takeaways and, you know, the ability to learn and continue to grow from those readings, you know?
Yeah. I think that's one of the big things. That's probably been the biggest change in my life over the last 5 years or so. The way that my business came about was really interesting. It was not planned. It was kind of forced upon me. Long story short, I had a cushy job, you know, full-time employment. Bang, the gym went under. I was out of a job. Over the course of, you know, 3 days, like basically a weekend, I'd made the decision, I'm going to start my business. I'd had a couple, you know, bad experiences with previous employment, you know, circumstances being what they were. But anyway, I created my business, and then I kind of realized, if I'm going to keep getting better, if I want my business to grow, if I want to develop as a smarter person, a better operator, a better partner, now, you know, husband and soon to be father as well, it's like, I need to learn from other people.
Congratulations, actually. I saw
Thank you very much.
Boy.
Thank you.
Well done.
But I kind of realized, like, there's a lot of people who are further on the path than I am. And I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't steal the ideas that they had written down, because a lot of it's documented, like just through books.
Sure.
And I found that's been probably the biggest change in my life, and it's something that I'm going to keep doing, you know, forever, I think.
Well, you just got to go and look at these guys, the Ed Milet, Andy Fischella, all these kind of guys, the amount of content and information, Gary Vaynerchuk, these guys are talking optimism, they're talking, it's all about that, that positive affirmation that you give yourself. Like you said, you made the decision in 3 days and look, it's benefited Ed. You made the right decision but you've gone after it. And it's about all those positive vibes and keeping that, that whole optimism well. And that's what I've learned so much about. I've always been to become the leader I am in my work. You've always had to have something, right? But,
for sure.
It was about never giving up, right? But I probably even did that the old school way, Jesse, when it came to my work. And now it's more about empathy and a lot of other stuff, which I didn't have 20 years ago. I just didn't have it, right? So empathy was that, So, but these days I'm a believer of it, and I believe my leadership style today through those learnings have really changed as well, and I see it in my teams, it's a different ball game for sure.
How do you kind of set the example? Because, you're fairly high up with, your role and your career. Yep. How do you kind of filter that down and around to the people in your life, the people who are most important to you, whether it's, your direct reports or, the employees that you work with or your family? How do you get them to kind of buy into what it is that you're doing and the values that you want to kind of have them adopt and implement?
I think like anything, I think the biggest, most important thing is communication. I think it lacks everywhere. It still lacks in front of us today, right? So sadly, but I think communication, I think, the ability to be knowledgeable, it's important to have the knowledge is power, right? And you've got to continue to better yourself, whether it be in the industry you're working, which I know you're an advocate for, knowing what's next and continuing to learn. If you're not learning, you're not growing, and you can't continue to grow people if you're not learning. Yeah. So, and I took a while to learn that. I thought I knew everything. My 30s, late 30s, I knew everything, mate. You just asked me, But today I realised I didn't know that much. And, now I really like to lead. I lead individually. I lead as a group, but I also lead individually. And I think I get the best out of people by working them to their strengths and their abilities. And enhancing those, and then we focus and help them and support working on those weaknesses to make them into better employees, right? So, I'm not big on your whole, we have to do it from a work perspective, but, balanced scorecards and things like this, they're okay if they're used properly and stuff, but I prefer to be a bit more one-on-one and we approach it and then we work as a team. United, we stand together, we fall. And, I'm very proud to say I've got, I've been in my, job now for 6.5 years up here, and my whole team that I had a 74% changeover when I first came in because I had to make changes, and they're all still with me. All of them are still with me.
That's amazing.
One left from an illness perspective, but they're all still with me. So ultimately that shows that they understand what is required of them, firstly. The game doesn't change, right? It's not flippant. And basically we work out and if I build my what I'm going to achieve this year from a work perspective, I then build their responsibilities around what I want to achieve, and we're all moving for the common goal. No one's fragmented.
Yeah, you've got that one objective, and it's like you're in a canoe or in a kayak. You're all pushing in the same direction. You're all, if there's the goal, you're all going that way. You don't have some people paddling that way. You've got the objective, and this is what's required to do it, and then you're all just kind of moving in that general direction. I think that's important as being a leader. Is like you said, it's communicating that. From a work standpoint and also from a personal standpoint as well, what you actually want out of life.
Well, let's get to that, right? Don't complain, right? At the end of the day, change it. Because at work, well, okay, if you're complaining about your job, why? Change it. Change that or your job. because at the end of the day, I love my job, mate. I've been doing my career for 36 years. I'm in the same game. Sure, I've been through some difficult jobs like we all have, but at the same time, some of those guys taught me more than I realised through those difficult times, right? But, at the end of the day, I love what I do. Is it perfect? No. Is the company perfect? No. Will it ever be? No. But it's a good company to, you know what I mean? And they go and say, oh, but this brand's better to work for. Well, I've worked for them and I can tell you they're not, right? So the grass is never greener on the other side. It's about how you approach it and getting that balance mindset to ensure, well, okay, if that's a problem, what do we do to fix it? If we can't fix it, well, we have to manage that problem.
Yeah. I think there's a quote that I like. If you can't change the circumstances, change your attitude.
Yeah, that's right. Manage that attitude, right? Because you're not going to fix it. And then I tell my guys, they come, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, listen, I get it. And I don't disagree with you, but we're not going to change it. So who's going to fight it? You or me? Because I'm not. So I've already put it away here and we just manage the process, right? Because that's not worth me getting upset about because I've got a million other things to deal with, right? So, yeah. But look, bringing to your personal life, I think the biggest, most important thing that I learned throughout my journey so far, and, don't bring your work home. Leave your work at the door as you walk back inside because you've got a lot of people inside that love you and care about you and don't want to hear all the bullshit that's going on outside. You know what I mean? My wife will ask me, oh, how's your day? Awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Every day's
once you cross that line, you're in a different environment. Yeah.
That's it. And I'm not going to talk about it. Sure, she'll ask because she knows some of the boys I've got around me and she'll say, oh, how are they doing? Yeah, they're doing good. Family's good, whatever, right? But I'm not going to sit there and talk about a hotel, mate. It's my time now. Yeah. Right. And that's the biggest thing that you learn as you grow up. It's my time. Why am I wasting my time talking about that? It could be focused on a side hustle, or it could be focused on, whatever else it is that I've got going on that needs my time. Yeah.
Just to kind of round up here, this is an interesting concept as well, because everybody's looking for more time. I don't have, there's not enough time. There's not enough hours in the day. People are like, oh, I've got free time. I've got work time. There's just time. And what I think is really awesome that you just kind of said there is when you're at work, you're at work. You are in work mode from this time to this time. It's that's my purpose. That's what I'm here to do. Once that has been completed, or once you change the environment, like you said, you step home, it's the work hat comes off and the family hat comes on. Correct. I think that's probably one of the things that I've learned from, reading and hanging around people like yourself who've, done some huge things that I aspire to. Is you can't do it all the time.
And then Jesse, exactly, mate, and then that once the family goes to bed at 8:30, whatever it is, right? Then the side hustle hat comes on for a couple hours. Yeah. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm dealing with some ad hoc email from the other job, because that's reality, right? Or an ad hoc phone call to deal with that. But then the side hustle hat comes on for at least an hour and a half. And, I'll get a little bit of the side hustle done, so, or the two side hustles, whatever it might be. And then you just got to learn to sleep faster, right? But, 6 to 8 hours is important to me, and that's what I do, and that's what I get. And, it's you've just got to really manage it and ensure that you're enjoying that time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, well, I want to just wrap up here because I know you're a busy man, but I want you to leave the listeners with, what you think is the most important thing for not just their fitness, but the impact that improving one's body or fitness or mental game can have just across the board in life. What is some advice that you would give to the listeners if they're, on this path to self-development, personal development? What is your advice for them moving forward so that they can actually take and apply?
You just got to keep on going. You're going to have the injuries. You're going to have the bad days. I don't want to train some days. I go, oh, bugger it, I don't want to lift that bloody heavy thing again, right? Yep. I don't want to be puffed out, but you've just got to continue to do the work. And there's no secret. Like Jesse says, and I'm an advocate for it because there isn't a secret. There is not one pill that you can take, or we'd all take it, I tell you. Yep. Then we don't have to do the work, right? But you and you can't give up on yourself, because if this is what you want and you've made the start, yes, you're going to hurt. Yes, you're going to take pain. Yes, you're going to have the little niggles of the injuries. Like I said earlier, you've got to manage them. I'm managing one right now in a bicep, but that's okay. I can still work out, man. I've got to work around it and just change the routines a little bit, right? But yeah, it hurts. Does it hurt when I finish? Sure. Does it hurt once it's had the heat pack on it? No, it feels a bit better.
Yeah.
But you've got to do the work, and don't give up on yourself is the key. It's just don't give up on yourself. You know, I see everybody get out there and get excited about doing something, and then 6 weeks later they've hurt themselves and they just don't want to do it anymore.
They fizzle out.
Go for a walk if it's your arm.
Yep.
You know, if it's your leg, you can still sit down and do stuff, or lie down and do stuff. You can still do stretches with. But look, I think the biggest, most important lesson that I've learned throughout my short 50 years in life, Jesse, is that if you want it, you've got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because nobody is going to do it for you ever.
Yeah.
You know? You just can't. You can talk about it, but.
And guys, I want you to listen to that. Just play it back times 1,000, because what Roddy's talking about here, it bears repeating. If you want something, if you want to lose the 10 kilos, the 20 kilos, bench press X amount of whatever it is, whatever your goal is, nobody can get you there except for you. Like, I can sit here, I can write up the best plan in the world, but it's just a piece of paper with numbers and letters on it until it's actually applied, until you do the work. So I hope you will take what this man says on board and actually apply it. Set yourself a big, ambitious goal that is meaningful to you. Make a plan. If you don't know how to make the plan, reach out to somebody who can do it. You know, Rod's got himself a trainer. He's got like a support crew for his super bikes. You know, he has people in his professional world that, you know, are his colleagues, are his mentors, and people who he leans on. So you don't have to do it on your own. But the main thing is, don't stop. Like you said, like, set that goal and keep fucking going.
I like it. Keep fucking going.
You can't stop. Like, the only way, this is something that I find people do far too easily, is when the going gets tough, people quit.
And I think it's important what you said there too, Jesse, that there's support around you. You don't realize it, you know, you've got to use it because it's there, and people want to help you as well.
Yep.
You know? You're not burdening anybody with wanting to become a better person.
Yeah. If anyone says otherwise, you can probably fuck them off out of your circle.
Well, yeah, there's that too, right? That's a whole nother conversation, right? But yeah,
that's another rabbit hole. Yeah.
Oh, but it's amazing, really. It's funny, you know. I just had to finish up. I had a buddy of mine call me probably 5 weeks ago now, and I've known this guy since I'm sort of 5 years old. And you know, through my teenage years, I actually shared a house with him and his mum, and his divorced mum. And anyway, he rings me, 51 years old, and he says, "Hey, Rod, got to talk to you, mate." I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" He said, "Oh, you know, I had to go to have that operation." I said, "Yeah, mate." He says, "Oh, they've just taken a 5 centimetre tumour off my brain." I said, "All right." And he says, "And it's a stage 4. And I'm just like, brother. But you know what, man? A couple of things I realised right at that time. Hey, man, we haven't spoken enough over the years, man. You know what I mean? First thing I thought about, you know?
Yeah.
Secondly, man, when was the last time we physically caught up? You know? And he says, "God, it's been years." I said, "Yeah, probably since I came over here, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." You know, so those sort of things that come. But the biggest thing that I take away from this whole thing, and what I want to say is, this guy is the epitome of just take it like a man. You know, it's like, well, Rod, this is what I've been dealt. At the end of the day, they told me I've got 5. If I do this radiation, maybe I've got 10. He said, "Well, fuck the radiation. I want to enjoy myself. Let's have a good time." They're giving me a form of steroid now to make me feel a bit better, right? So I don't feel lethargic and you know, I feel like I shoot myself every day. He says, "But let's enjoy what I got left, and let's talk as often as we can. And you know, I want to spend time with family." So, you know, that takeaway there is about that, exactly what we've been talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The support's there, the people are there, everyone's around you. It's about how you want to take care of your own mentality and do what you need to do.
Yeah. And like it or not, guys, it's a choice. Like, you have the choice to do it or not do it. And you can read the books, you can listen to the podcast, you can go and watch a motivational YouTube video until the cows fucking come home. But nothing changes until something moves. So you've got to make that decision and then just put one foot in front of the other. That's the secret. There's no pill, there's no hack, there's no elixir. Everybody's trying to sell you an elixir, but it doesn't fucking exist. So I hope you guys will take some of this information that is applicable for you and actually use it to better your lives, whether it be, the family aspect, whether it be the professional and career advice that we've gone through, or whether it be actually just, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, I need to get my fucking shit together and go and get after it.
Do it.
That's it. Rod, an absolute pleasure. I appreciate your time, and it's always good to catch up. I look forward to seeing more of your photos and videos on WhatsApp of your training and of the kiddos getting after it as well. But I really appreciate you coming on board and sharing your wisdom for the listeners of the Wake Up Call, man.
Jesse, likewise, mate. Like I said, huge respect for you and the work that you continue to do and the content that you pump out. The stuff that you give out for free, mate. It's it's impressive, man. So, mate, thank you for having me. It's a blast to talk to you, as always. And, mate, until next time.
Yes, sir. All right, buddy. Take care.
After it.
Yes, sir. See you, buddy.
Love
Take
you,
care.
buddy. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.